Press record. Yeah.
Recording. Welcome everyone to the Master Cleanse. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We speak a lot about this springtime and how important this spring is to do a yearly cleanse. And this we'll talk about is an ancient practice that goes back thousands and thousands of years. Where just giving your body a break for a moment of time, just 3 days is enough to make this very effective to clear out toxins, allow the body to rest, not digest, but heal, right? It's giving that space, allowing things to clean and clear out. So, this is a really amazing thing that you're doing for your body. It's a service that you're doing for your body. We're going to talk a lot about that. Often we go into these things thinking we're kind of punishing ourselves. We're doing this like diet plan, exercise plan, blah, blah, blah. It seems to be very hard when we really want to look at it in more of a this is a real big favor that we're doing. Not often do people do this in our modern world, which unfortunately is why we see a lot of the chronic diseases we see. There's never a chance for the body to clear. And you hear all the time people want to do detoxes because they feel it, right? They want to get rid of that stuff. So spring is the perfect time to do it. And so you should all be so proud of yourself for doing it. And thank you for joining us again.
And I want to go a little bit more into that rest and digest because it is that rest and digest time when your parasympathetic nervous system is going, is when we go into our deep healing. And so we get a lot of that in our sleep because we take this time to not having to do all the, to see and to hear and to move and to exercise and to eat. And so now we're even taking away the digesting part. So we are putting ourselves in a serious resting state, which also cues you into we really want to keep the stresses. So rest and digest. So we want to stay out of fight or flight. So we really want to work to keep our schedules as relaxing as possible so we can really feed that nice resting state as we detox. And that will take you even farther. So the fact that we're not even having to digest when we're in rest and digest gives us really more time to get into that healing deeper part of that.
Absolutely. And emptiness, like I've written in a few emails, if you've seen them lately, a lot about this concept of emptiness, and that emptiness is just as important as being full. So, again, we live in a very consumer type of society where more and more and more we're pitched to us more. You see the commercials on TV for food, and it's like this juicy thing, and you're like, oh my God, I need that now. And you just fill yourself, right? And that's what ends up happening a lot is we are filling ourselves, right? We just want to have that full feeling. We're not honestly a lot of times nourishing ourselves, and that's a whole nother element of bringing in nourishment, which you might not have a full belly after, right? But you're actually getting that nutrients in. This we are giving ourselves a break of emptiness because it's like when you come home and you have a sink pile full of dishes, right? And you're busy, and then you still have to eat. You put more dishes in. The next day, you run out the door again. That sink is still full of dishes, right? You got to give yourself that space. You got to clear your schedule to go clean up the kitchen, clean all those dishes out, right? And then your kitchen can function more optimally, right? And you can make even healthier food for yourself. That's what's happening within the body. The body needs that space and that time, that emptiness to be able to clean house, to be able to clear everything out. So it's going to clear out all of your detoxification organs, things that are really stuck in there that haven't been dislodged for a very long time will be able to move and to clear. And then if anything is broken or hurt or needing help, the body has that time now to go heal that. So this is how it's helping to detox, but it's also helping to boost our immune system, our overall health as well. So this is where we get that health and longevity out of this, is from doing all of this. So again, like I was saying too, ancient practices were doing this for thousands of years, and they saw this correlation where they cleared their body once a year and they were able to have stronger immune systems. They were able to increase their health and their longevity. And it was just a really great practice. And then this was going on for a very long time. When religious practices became involved, they saw that doing this physical cleanse allows your mind to clear as well. So you get increased mental clarity that is so bright. You have beautiful, vivid dreams. You can think so clearly. You can even see it in the whites of your eyes are just like crystal clear and bright. And so a lot of religious leaders would do this to go tap into higher consciousness and higher power, right? So they would do a yearly fast or walk into the desert for 40 days or whatever it took for them just to clear the physical body to gain mental clarity. So again, this is a huge favor that you're doing for your body. And we'll just keep kind of diving in. And again, for those of you that had just joined, we are going to all be on mute except for Kara and I, but feel free to chat in the chat box and put any questions in there and we will get to them. The last 20 minutes of this conversation is going to be all Q&A. So everything you guys need to know will be in there.
Yeah. So there is that you feel this fog lift from this cleanse, and it's really interesting. And this is something, a religious practice. You look at every religion across the globe has a day of fasting, right? So we are kind of going into this. And when I did it the first time, that's not really what I was looking for. It was more like a physical, desire I was looking for. And like Megan said, like I'm like, I don't really need mental clarity, whatever, but I did find myself super alert. My dreams were super vivid. It was the first time my grandparents who had passed away visited me in my dreams. It's like that kind of mental clarity where you're just like, oh, like my brain, I'm finally, that fog is lifted, that I can see those messages and I can feel those feelings, because I feel like we walk around a lot in kind of that haze of filling, right? It's just like, if I feel like something's off or wrong, it's like, oh, I need a cup of coffee, oh, I'm going to eat a sandwich, oh, I really just need to eat an avocado. Like there's always like a filling, and rather than just letting it sit and finding that space that you need.
Yeah, I really
Oh,
love that.
one more thing on that, as far as like that it being a religious practice, if you need, it's hard going 3 days without food. It's, most of it is habitual. You'll find that the ingredients of the lemonade will actually sustain you. I was so surprised that I didn't feel actual hunger. Like my stomach never rumbled. I was shocked. I mean, I'm somebody who eats, I'm a snacker like all day long. And I couldn't believe that I wasn't going through like actual physical hunger pains. So that lemonade really does sustain that. But if you need something to tap into to help you get through just the mental part of it, I do suggest tapping into something for like a higher purpose. If it's religious, spiritual, doing it for a cause or for someone else, because we're so used to giving ourselves to doing things for other people, for our kids, or for a cause or charity or whatever. So if that's what calls to you, you can use that to help you get through this time as well.
Yeah, and then again for the physical body, when we are doing a cleanse or a fast, right? So the whole major idea is to allow the body to detox. And a lot of that has to do with our main detoxification organ, which is the liver. Everything runs through the liver. The liver is in Chinese medicine known as the commander. It is the most important organ in Chinese medicine, and unfortunately, in our modern Western world, the most common condition is a congested liver, which proliferates into obesity, heart disease, cancers, diabetes. I mean, really, you name it. Every major chronic disease that we face has to do with congestion of the liver, because when things can't clear out, they get stuck in the body, right? Again, whether that's cancer cells, whether that's, our hormones
Allergy.
can't function properly. allergies. I mean, so much runs through the liver. So this is so good for so many different conditions, and why it's so great for every single person to clear once a year to get that out. And also something to think too, because a lot of times we do this because it's like, yeah, I kind of would like to lose an extra 5 pounds or 10 pounds. I kind of need to clear out, or I have this bloating and distension, right, in my gut, or this upper, even that like high belly feeling, of some kind of like pressure and bloat. This is really going to be helpful for that too, because again, what it's doing is helping the liver clear, which, just like anything, like a domino effect. Once you allow something to clear, everything else can start clearing. In addition to that, it's also going to be stimulating digestion. So a lot of times, this is why giving yourself a break is just as important as filling yourself, because when we fill ourselves constantly, day in, day out, year in, year out, our bodies become sluggish, right? The system slows down because there's so much constantly coming in. It doesn't have a time to take a break. When we give ourselves that break, things can work through and clear through. So then now you're actually digesting more optimally. Your stomach acid, your HCl and your stomach acid from the lemon will really increase, and that's a good thing. A lot of us are sometimes afraid of that because we think, oh, I have indigestion or heartburn, I must have too much stomach acid. But in reality, it's actually the opposite. You don't have enough. Most Americans don't have enough, even though antacids are the number one over the counter thing that people buy. It's because it's suppressed by poor quality food that we eat. And so it comes up, and it comes up in this way because becomes really turbulent. When you have a strong digestive fire in the stomach, food goes down and it stays down and it digests in the stomach and then moves on to the rest of the body. It moves on to the small and the large intestine. When it's properly digested in the stomach, it's going to have a much easier time in the gut. Thus, you start to get less bloat, less pain and distension and that kind of feeling there. So this is really what it's doing. It's allowing all of your systems to work so much more optimally. So when you do start eating again, it's like, wow, not only that, but you'll start to absorb the nutrients better. So if you do eat healthy, you're going to absorb all those healthy nutrients better than with a sluggish, stuck system, if that makes sense.
I hope you guys are feeling excitement as you hear all these things, Megan's talking about, of like what's going to happen in your body, because this is what you can focus on as you go through this cleanse, and not focusing on like, oh, I just want to eat a brownie, right? Like that's not the focus. The focus is like, I am going to clear myself. I am doing this for the longevity of so that, years to come, my body is still in really high function and we're not having to deal with health problems. We want to really work now so that we're not dealing with things later. Um, and as much as we're going to take a break and stop from food, we're really going to keep things moving though, just by drinking lots and lots of this lemonade. We want to keep it going through our bodies and keep things flushing. Even when we're not eating, we still have waste. Our body produces tons of metabolic waste from dead cells and bile, all this. It's still doing work and taking out the garbage. It's detoxifying your cells and it's ridding itself of things it doesn't need. This is still all going to be coming out. So we need to keep that moving, using the lemonade and making sure that we're having bowel movements through it. And we'll get to that part and you will have some.
Yeah, that's a really key part, is keeping things moving. Again, a lot of times when we go into something like, whether it is a cleanse or whether it's just a diet or something like that, we tend to slow down our eating, right? We go because we get restrictive. But this restrictive, I mean, just look at what that does to the body. It starts to tighten, right? And that's not what we want. We want the opposite. We want to let go and loosen, right? So we actually want to bring in more is better when it comes to cleansing. We want to bring in more. So the more of the lemonade, or just straight water, if you just need regular water during this, which you can alternate between lemonade and water. We'll get into that too. But more is more. You just want things to keep flushing. And I would say my recommendation is not to go more than 2 hours without drinking lemonade. And that one is to keep things moving. And two, it helps because we'll get into the ingredients in a bit, but it does help stave off the hunger pains. So if you're on top of it, you're likely not to have any of that hunger pain, like what Kara was talking about earlier. So yeah, I love what Kara was saying. More is more. It's going to keep flushing and cleansing through because toxins come up. We want them to move out as well. Yeah, that's so great. Also, when we look at these detoxification pathways, so there's a few different ones, right? So I touched a bit on the liver. So that's right there on your right side, right underneath your rib cage. And it's a pretty big organ. It's about that big, right on this right side. It's also paired with your gallbladder, right? That's, kind of this this big around, right there, kind of more here. Let me see, kind of more right in the center here. This would be your gallbladder. This is your liver. Your liver wraps a little bit far around here. And so this whole system is dealing with most of everything that we're doing. It's the filter of the blood, right? So your blood quality has to do with your liver. Your cholesterol quality has to do with your liver, right? We look at those as heart type of conditions, but the more you learn about this, the more you see every heart condition is actually a liver condition. That's where it originates. The heart is an innocent bystander. It pumps, it's a pump, but the quality of what is going on in the body has to do with the liver. So this is so important for people to clear if they feel that they have high blood pressure, cholesterol, viruses in the blood, right, which is really common within heart disease. So this is a liver thing. The liver also is processing mostly our fat soluble toxins. So those are going to go through more of the small and the large intestine, right? So it'll go liver, small, large intestine, and come out. So this is one of the reasons we do want to keep supporting that intestinal elimination as well. Of course, we'll be drinking lots of fluid, so we know the kidney and the bladder element are going to be clearing. Another detoxification pathway, right? Water soluble toxins. So that's going to be flushing very easily. We still want to support the intestinal, which we'll talk about later. You also have your lymphatic system, which runs very shallow under the skin, and it parallels your blood system. But like your blood system has a heart to beat and to move it around, your lymphatic system does not. So your lymphatic system moves through movement, right? This is why daily movement is so important. The best way to move the lymph is walking. So during a cleanse, a really nice practice to do is just go for like a nice morning walk, maybe go out in nature a little bit, move, right? We don't want to do anything too strenuous, but move that lymph. You can also do things called dry brushing. You could just get a washcloth and go like this before you take a shower in the morning, just kind of moving that lymph, because the lymph, you have all your lymph nodes. That's where all of our toxins get picked up, go to the lymph nodes, and then the blood comes, picks it up, takes it to the liver, then it gets out of the body that way, right? The other ways are through sweat, kind of similar to lymph through the skin, and then your breath, right? Your lungs. That's another detoxification pathway. We're covering it a lot right now, right? So as much as you can breathe without anything covering your face, very important. Getting that fresh air in, right? So that we're not keeping toxins in, we're getting them out. So these are all the detoxification pathways that we're really supporting during this cleanse.
Mhm. Awesome. All right. Should we get into the lemonade now?
Yeah.
Are you ready? Okay. I didn't want to move forward without. Okay. So let's go through the ingredients of the lemonade, understand why they're helping us. We just talked a lot about water, so we'll just leave it at that. We also talked about making sure, if you saw in the emails, just making sure you have high quality water. So don't be drinking tap water that, if your city is questionable. If you're up in the high Sierras getting it straight from the mountains, I'm good with that. But, down in the swamps, we don't get very good water. So make sure you have a good filtration system, or you're purchasing good water for yourself. And then the lemons, and you're going to need a ton of lemons. The first time I did this, or actually the only time I've done this so far, I ran out of lemons in the middle of it, and I was panicking because I had to go to the store to buy more lemons. And that's the last thing you want to have to do, is to walk into a grocery store. So make sure you have tons of lemon on hand. I wound up using Whole Foods delivery so that I didn't have to. I do the lemon water practice in normal everyday life. It's something that stimulates the bowels first thing in the morning. So that's a really nice thing. It triggers peristalsis. So it makes your muscles kind of, all your organs kind of, and that's going to stimulate a bowel movement. So even just for that thing right in the morning, it's a really a plus thing to have. Plus that sour and tart flavor from it is something that a flavor that really complements the liver. And it's going to like tone the organs and make them contract and ring out. Think about your organs. And I personally felt this on this cleanse. I felt my organs kind of ringing out. It was almost like lower back pain. I could feel like my organs were just kind of, like moving. And I thought it was really cool. As much as it was uncomfortable, I was like, ooh, things are happening. You're going to feel things happening. And it's really interesting. We also love that the lemons are yellow, and this is the color of the third chakra is liver.
Yeah, it's all your digestive organs, really. So it's going to
Yeah.
help stimulate all of them and help detox.
Yes. Okay. And then also, I just wanted to say that it might start making your teeth feel sensitive from all the lemon on your teeth. So you might want to use a straw to drink through it, or after you drink some lemonade, just rinse your mouth out with water. Drink some straight water just to wash it off, because it does start to you feel it's kind of like eating at the enamel. It's only 3 days, so don't panic. It's not going to damage your teeth permanently, but my teeth did start getting sensitive, and a straw can help with that, because then it's not passing through your teeth every time.
Yeah, yeah, lemon's really incredible. And it's funny because on the outside, right, we look at it as an acid, but internally it's actually alkaline, which is the opposite of acid. It's a base internally when it becomes digested. So, what that does is it reduces inflammation, excess inflammation in the body. If we feel that in terms of back pain, joint pain, inflammation, that is too much acidity in the body. And that doesn't mean you're eating too much citrus. It means that we're eating too much inflammatory causing foods like fried foods and meats and things, poor quality foods, sugars. Those are all very inflammatory. So, even though this is acidic to the taste, it's actually going to be alkalizing to the body. So, that's something to keep in mind too. It's going to lower.
And just for a tidbit of fun information, because this goes along with it, because it's one of those like, oh, really, that's interesting. Milk is the opposite. So milk on the outside is a base, but when you internalize it, it becomes acidic. So we always think to like, oh, drink a glass of milk and it will calm down the acidity, but it actually is more acidic and inflammatory in your body. So opposite of a lemon.
It's fascinating. Those are the two that flip flop. Um,
Mhm.
and then we have the cayenne in the lemonade that we're going to be drinking. So it's really important to get a good quality cayenne. We really like this brand here. It's called Frontier. There are a lot of good brands out there now. You want to make sure it's, of course, organic. One of the things is I don't know if this one
Non
says it on the
non-irradiated.
yeah,
Yeah, non-irradiated.
irradiated, which basically means this is such a lovely practice. A lot of those big brands with the red tops, they irradiate their herbs, which means they spray on this chemical so that all the leaves and all the herbs fall to the ground, right? It's a mass production way of producing food. And in doing that, that's a massive chemical that is sprayed on your food. And so you're ingesting that. Now, when we're detoxing, we want to make sure that we aren't adding in any extra toxins into our body. We want to make sure we're very clean, and we don't have that, right? Because that's going to contradict what we're doing. So same thing with the lemons, organic cayenne, like Kara said, good quality water that doesn't have chlorine and fluoride and all these things that our body does not need in there. So alkaline water, whatever you want, nice water. And then of course we'll get to maple syrup in a second, but everything make sure is good quality. So the point of cayenne is that it's a very warming spice. Of course, it's kind of spicy. The point of that is it's going to warm the body and it's going to bring this warmth through to our circulatory system, right? Which means our blood system, even that lymphatic system, like I said too, that needs that movement or that help. It's going to help bring that movement there because, like I said before, as we bring toxins up, which something like a lemon will do, bring toxins up to the surface, the cayenne will circulate that through the body to help get it out. So that's what that is for. And basically, what you're doing is literally like I just keep that little lid on. You just like tip it over for a second just to do a dash, and that's about it. You don't need too much. There's no measurement for it because it's too small to measure, but it's just like a little dash into each glass of lemonade that you make. Just go like that. So that's really what it's doing. It's also an incredible herb for the heart. Cayenne as a pepper, any of those peppers in that pepper family, really good in clearing to the heart. You might even feel this. I do when I do this cleanse. I'll feel this kind of like warmth around my heart. And it's really nice. It's doing this nice, clean, like cleansing, pungent cleansing through the heart. Also, from an energetic standpoint, it's very good. An emotional standpoint as well. It's going to help clear out. So that's something too, just to keep in mind while we're clearing the physical body, emotionally and energetically you're clearing too. So just keep that in mind as things can come up, let things kind of move through you, move out. So that's what the cayenne is doing.
Okay. And then the magic ingredient of maple syrup, the thing that's going to help you get through this whole thing. So I found that adding maple syrup into the lemonade, especially the amount that the recipe calls for, was too sweet for me. So I found myself um, having a hard time drinking the lemonade. And then I thought, I'm just going to drink the lemonade because I love lemon water. I can chug it. And I wound up doing my maple syrup on the side. So I just want to throw that out there that if it's turning you off in the drink, maybe you'll think it tastes good. Plenty of people do. You can always have it on the side, but this is basically your sustainable energy for the next 3 days. And it's like magic. I mean, you put a teaspoon, I would put a teaspoon in my mouth and I could just feel it going to work, giving me that energy. We love talking about that this is the blood of a maple tree, of a giant tree. And it's so cool to just have that energy of this sap from this tree to help us get through all of this.
Yeah, it's a really grounding, beautiful energy. And it has some nutrients in it, trace, but there's magnesium, B vitamins, very trace. And that's not why it's in here. It is in here because it is a sugar. Because the body, every cell of the body and your brain functions off of glucose, which is sugar. Everything that you eat, even a piece of kale, gets broken down into glucose to feed those cells and to feed your brain. So that's the reason it's in here, is to give yourself a bit of sustainable energy. So even though as you detox, what's going to happen too is your liver actually stores glucose. So it stores glucose usually around, sorry, I'll move the midsection around here. This is where we can get a lot of fat cells kind of usually developing. That's a lot of excess glucose stores, right? Which again is great in an emergency, survival, all of that. But of course, when we do it year in, year out, right, we have that extra stuff we just can't seem to move. Again, giving the body a break. The liver needs glucose for energy. So the liver is going to be working really hard during this. It's going to start burning those glucose stores, which is fat, which is amazing. Also, we'll be able to add a little bit of maple syrup too, and you'll feel that. You'll go, oh, wow, I actually feel like I have more energy. If you do it like Kara does, you could just take a teaspoon or so of maple syrup, or a tablespoon is what it calls for the lemonade for a glass, and have it on the side. If you're like, I'm feeling maybe a little hungry or a little low on energy, you take that and literally probably within a couple minutes, you're like, oh, I'm pretty good to go. So that's what it's doing. That's why this is a sustainable way of doing a fast or a cleanse, because all of these components are working together to make it sustainable. You're bringing up the toxins, you're circulating everything around the body, you're giving yourself a bit of energy, the water's flushing and cleansing things out. So this lemonade is packed full of everything that you need.
And to clear up one thing about the maple syrup, because there's confusion with the grade A and the grade B. What you want is grade A right now, but it used to be that their way they did the grading system, that grade B was the superior one. So sometimes you'll see a bottle that says formerly grade B. That's actually a good thing. It means it's currently grade A of so I found that very confusing when I went to look up what's the highest quality maple syrup. So you are looking for grade A. If it says formally grade B, that's okay.
And I think what that also meant was that grade what used to be called grade A was harvested in the fall, right? And then grade B was harvested after the winter, so it was darker. So
Yeah,
it was
and it's more rich in, yeah,
it was
vitamins
more
and
rich and deeper, and so they called it grade B because it was just like more dense, and it was the second one that was harvested. But marketing people got very confused because they thought it wasn't good quality, so they had to like flip flop. Anyway, that's basically what it is. And of course, Aunt Jemima or Hungry Man are not invited to this cleanse, please. Those unfortunately are high fructose corn syrup flavored like maple. So really make sure you get yourself a good quality maple syrup. It's much more common to find nowadays, thankfully. All right. So there is a part. So, of course, you have your guidebook, and hopefully, you all have kind of at least skimmed through it, looked through it. You have your grocery list in there. There's really the recipe for this is in there. It's a simple recipe. Well, I could kind of describe it really quickly if you want to. Just make sure you kind of look through that. That's your guide. Everything is in there that you can imagine. And it's really beautiful. It has beautiful pictures. So make sure you use that. When you are making this lemonade, I'll just kind of speak through it. I know that can help a lot of people just hearing about it rather than reading a recipe. But basically, what I like to do is with a lemon, depending on how juicy it is. These lemons, my husband started the cleanse this morning. And so as he was juicing them, they weren't as juicy. So we're using a whole lemon. If it's really juicy, you could use a half a lemon. That's why sometimes you might have to run out and get more lemons. You just don't really know. It could be a half or it could be a whole. And you squeeze that into here. Of course, catch the seeds or however you want to do it. Then you would do a tablespoon of maple syrup and a dash, again, of cayenne. And then fill up your cup. So this is what, a 16-ounce
yeah.
mason
Uh-huh.
jar? So 16 ounces, right, which is technically 2 cups, right? A cup is 8 ounces. So this would be like one serving, and you want to at least have 6 a day. You could go up to 12 a day, whatever resonates with you. But say you do 6 a day. Also bring in water whenever you need it, right? It doesn't all have to be this, but you at least want to have 6 glasses. And when you do
And if
start,
you,
go
sorry,
ahead.
I was going to say, if you are going to work and you're going to be out for the day, you can pre-prepare a whole day's worth and bring it with you. Bring your jars with you. That's no problem.
Yeah, and I wouldn't make it more than that morning in advance. You want everything to be very fresh, right? You don't want things to oxidize and sit. So making it that morning before you go to work, whatever you have to do is fine. Just nothing more in advance than that. And also that we want to make sure we're using fresh lemons, not any lemon juice or concentrate or anything like that. Fresh lemons.
All right. Well, let's get into the fun stuff. So we wanted to talk about parasites on this cleanse because this is kind of a side effect is that it's helping you release any parasites, and we think of parasites as a like foreign country problem, but this is actually just part of life, especially if you eat a lot of fresh foods and salads and raw foods from the markets, right? We're getting foods that have little larvae, microscopic larvae. It's not something we can avoid. It's something that our body knows how to deal with for the most part. But once in a while, a parasite can hang on and just kind of attach to the inside. and hang out there for a while and live a really good life. I mean, living in an American body is a pretty sweet life. So, I mean, it's constantly being fed. It's, you know, all sorts of sugar that it feeds on, and it's a thing. It's really a
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah, yeah, and it's
So,
yeah. I was just gonna say that's true because it's not just something that you, like Kara said, that you find somewhere else. They're everywhere. It's just part of being on this planet, and so it's they're in everybody, and it's fine. Most of the time, they're microscopic, but this is a time when they can actually release and get out. So sorry, go ahead, Kara.
well, and so our stomach acids actually usually take care of this, right? They're kind of they go through our body and they're killed, but like we said, once in a while they can hold on. So we recommended you can use that Paragard that we put in the shopping list. You don't. This isn't necessary. In my personal experience, I actually released a parasite just from doing the master cleanse, not even doing the Paragard. So just some personal experience information. But of course, once I was done with that, I'm like, I'm getting that Paragard and also doing a parasite cleanse because if there was one, there might be more. Um, and so it's basically just a tincture, and you put it in a glass of water and drink it down. And so, you know, whether you've already done it and you're on your way doing that, or you do it after, or just see if, you know, this either way, this cleanse is going to help with this issue. So even if you don't do the Paragard, you're good to go.
Mhm. Yeah, and that is something that's nice to also do once a year. It's really simple. You don't not have to eat. You can just take the Paragard like up to 3 times a day in a little bit of water. That's really all it is. And again, it's an herbal tincture, and it has things like it's literally called wormwood is one of the herbs. It's a type of bark, and black walnut hull is another one. Oregano, garlic, all of those kind of things are in there, which help clear out and kill anything that's in there. But at the same time, it's also helping to strengthen your body too, because when we have a weaker immune system, or a sluggish system, this is going to be more effective for anything to take residence in our body, right? We want to be these really strong, efficient machines where something comes in, it's going to be hard to hold on and they're going to be swept right out, right? So, again, allowing the body to clear itself out is going to clear these things out. It's going to strengthen your body, it's going to strengthen the gut, which is where they tend to like to hang out. So again, if you wanted to get a Paragard, you can do it every year as well. It's good to do in the springtime. And it's also going to help strengthen your gut and give and boost your immune system and your health in addition to clearing out. So that's the beauty of herbs. They do a lot of things at the same time, and it's so good for your health.
Right. And okay, so let's speak a little bit more about releasing. So, throughout this cleanse, I really encourage you to pay attention to your poop. This is something I do all the time, and I hope everybody does all the time. So, maybe if you don't, this is your turn to start and really inspecting. It's one of, if any of you are dog owners, like, you know, one sign of your dog having an irregular poop, and we're like, oh, what's wrong? Like, what did he eat? What did, you know, and we go throughout life, you know, having all sorts of irregular poops, and we think nothing of it. And we keep doing what we're doing and we don't try and like figure it out. Right. So it's really important to pay attention to this. It's never a bad conversation with a health coach. You can always talk to us about poop. I don't know how many people tell us, I don't know if this is TMI. I go, no, 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 no. This is what we talk about. Because this is such a great clue and a way to understand what's going on inside the body. We're actually, at one point, we're going to, one of your emails throughout the cleanse, we're going to be attaching a poop chart. So you can actually see what a healthy poop looks like and know. But what's going to be interesting is once you clear everything, all the food from your intestines, you're still going to be pooping, but it's going to look more like floating paper, like fiber. And so this is actually like your body is actually like shedding like the inside of your intestines, like everything's coming out, and it's going to just be it's interesting. It's like there's no fiber left, it's all just metabolic waste, and it's really interesting to see how to watch it evolve.
Yeah, and Kara even said this to me before, which I never really thought about, but just like how every part of our body, I mean, everything internally is like twists and turns, and it's kind of compact, right? So it's all squished up there, twisting, turning. It's hard to kind of get things clearing out, but when you do this, you are getting things moving. So again, any of that like papery kind of flaky stuff that you're seeing, that's like the outside of, or the inside of the intestinal walls that haven't been able to shed, these areas that have been stuck in like maybe a nook or like a little cranny or something like that, that's finally able to clear out. So that's what you're going to be releasing. um, and you may also even see things like it might be kind of yellowish in color, sometimes a little orangish in color. And that is bile clearing, which is so important because that gallbladder sitting there, bile is like liquid gold for the body. It helps digest fats and carbohydrates in the small intestine. But when the liver is congested, the liver produces bile and gives it to the gallbladder to store. It's like a storage unit. If the liver is congested, the gallbladder will concentrate that bile because it goes, you're too busy. I'll help you out. I'll concentrate this bile and I'll only secrete just a little bit into the small intestine because you're too busy, right? Again, great for survival, not great for every single day. So what that does is now there's not enough bile in your small intestine. So that's when we get yeast, bacterial, parasite, whatever it is, overgrowth in the gut, because that has to work overtime to digest your food rather than the bile, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to start flushing and clearing that out because a lot of bile is going to get kind of thicker and stodgy and you have a lot of bile ducts, so you're going to be releasing a lot. So if you see any of that as well in your stool, that's what that is, which is a good thing. So that's a really good sign if you see that clearing out.
Mhm. So now to the fun part. There is one thing we do to help move things out, and this is this internal salt bath that we have talked about. And it's basically just drinking a big jar of salt water. Obviously, if you've, gulped, uh, swallowed a whole mouthful of seawater, ocean water, it could kind of clear you out pretty quick. It comes right through. And this is kind of the point of what we're doing. And just a side note, if this is really intolerable to you, I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to these kind of things. You can use the tea, the smooth move tea, as an alternative. So it's more using an herbal concoction to help you continue to go, because we're not eating food. We need to make sure we're keeping going. It's just not going to be as, you know, I don't know,
Effect.
it's going to be a little anticlimactic, like my husband did the salt bath and he had the like, he was like, it was like this experience where mine was very gentle and just use the tea. I'm like, I'm going, I'm good, I'm good. But honestly, like I didn't get to that papery part of like really everything cleared and I knew I was completely empty until the last day, whereas he had that straight from the beginning. So that's going to be the difference of using the salt bath or using the tea.
Yeah, and so with
Yeah.
the saltwater bath, a quart is about this much. So what you'll do is you'll take 2 teaspoons of salt. Make sure it's very high quality, of really good quality sea salt. We love this brand called Real Salt, which is mined in Utah, like Salt Lake area. It's ancient sea salt that's just been in the ground there in the mountains. Anything like that, you just want something really high quality, because anything that's just regular table salt is straight sodium. It's been bleached. It has anti-caking chemicals. Again, remember, we're saying please, 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 we want everything to be as natural as possible because we're trying to clear those things out. So a good quality salt in here, because you're also going to be benefiting from all of the minerals that are in it. In natural earth, whether it's sea salt or mined salt from a mountain, they have other components in them. Again, it's all of your electrolytes, right? That's something to remember too. I know this can maybe not taste very good, but again, you're not doing your body a disservice. This is Gatorade. This is your electrolytes, right? Everyone's like, oh, electrolytes this, electrolytes that. Oh, but don't eat salt. And it's like, salt is an electrolyte, sodium is an electrolyte, potassium, magnesium, all of these amazing minerals are electrolytes. So the beauty of this as well, this ratio of 2 teaspoons of salt to a quart of water is the same salinity as your blood, which means when you take this in, if your body needs any of those minerals, it will take those minerals and use them. If it does not, it will go through your intestinal tract and eliminate, right? So your body's not going to absorb more than it needs because this is like the equilibrium to your body. So if you drink this and you actually don't eliminate, that's probably showing that you're mineral deficient, which is okay. Just understand that hopefully the next day when you take it, it'll help flush through. If you needed to switch to an herbal, just in case, you could do the smooth move tea. But that's something that's going on. So again, know that this is not a disservice to your body. This is actually potentially replenishing. And also that's where it's going through that small and large intestine to keep those fat soluble toxins clearing through this cleanse.
Good stuff. I love knowing that salt isn't the enemy, and we just need to use the proper salt and use it in good measure.
Yeah.
Um, so let's see. So you're going to take that salt bath tonight before you go to bed, or this evening, whatever, and then you're going to do it again tomorrow morning, and then you're going to do it every morning, and that's how. So you will have four total salt baths, um, or you can use the tea instead.
Yeah.
So yeah, see how it works. I mean, be gentle with yourself. Don't be, I couldn't handle it. And I just moved on from that. I didn't hang up on it. It was torturous for me, and it was no problem for my husband. So don't have any expectations. Just see how it works for you.
And a good thing too to think of is while you're drinking it, because you want it to be warm water as well, because it's easier for the body to quickly absorb and to work through, right? Something cold is going to be like, ooh, a little restrictive, especially in the morning. So just have nice warm water, some salts, and then imagine that you're having a delicious broth or soup or something savory, right? Because it's going to be a salty water. Just imagine it being a salty broth. It helps you work through it, and try not to chug it too fast, but try to drink it within 15 minutes or so, and then you will be eliminating in that next hour to hour and a half. So just acknowledge that and give yourself that space and time for when you do that.
Mhm. So, of course, if anybody has any questions, just type them up in that chat box. I haven't seen any come through yet. And yeah, and so really just, take this time as this is like your gift to yourself. This is your gift to your children, to your loved ones, to your spouse, to your parents, that, you're making yourself healthier. You're making yourself going to be around a lot longer. It's only 3 days, right? We have 365 days in the year. We can give up 3 days. It's harder than it seems. I mean, I had to give up, you know, invitations to go see a baseball game, and people stop by, hey, hey, you want to go out and have dinner and get a drink? No, you want some lemonade? Come on in, I got lemonade. It's hard. And so things I recommend are finding simple tasks around the house, like organizing a drawer, or going through your closet and getting rid of clothes you don't wear. This is another great way to cleanse and clear. And this is a mental task that you can handle. Try not to do anything too crazy because you might not have the focus, or it's too daunting. So keep things really easy.
So we just
Okay.
got a question too. Are we supposed to eat dinner tonight? So yes, you can eat dinner tonight, and it's completely up to you. You can have your regular dinner if you would rather something lighter like a salad to kind of transition yourself into it a bit better. Again, it's totally up to you. At some point, there's got to be like the last meal. So this is kind of that last meal. Again, however you would like to go about that, and then you'll have your internal saltwater bath. I probably wouldn't do it past 8 o'clock, to make sure that you can be in bed by 9:30, 10. Just again, this is another time too to give yourself permission to turn everything off and get into bed early, so that you get really good deep sleep, because sleep is where your body detoxes every single day, especially your brain. So your glymphatic fluid flushes through at nighttime through your brain to clear out. It does not do it during the day, and it does not do it if you're not in deep sleep. So, this is a really important time. This is how we get that mental clarity, right? We have everything clearing through, glymphatic stuff at night. Give yourself that really nice time at night to sleep.
And sleep really helps pass the time well. So I remember one night, it's Friday night, you're used to making dinner, having a glass of wine. We're like, what are we going to do with ourselves? I went to a restorative yoga class that was happening on a Friday night. Came home, watched a show, went to sleep. It's like, okay, you have to kind of fill that time that is going to be uncomfortable, because we're used to just kind of cozying in. So try and do that, whether it's a walk, a yoga class, keep things really simple, and definitely get that sleep. You'll find you'll want to go to sleep early because it helps with not thinking about eating.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're camping and there's no light, and then you're like,
Yeah,
well, I
yeah,
guess we're going to
yeah. Oh,
bed
I guess
till 7:30.
I'll
But it's a good thing, right? It's a really, really good thing. And then we got another question. Is there a time at night you should stop drinking the lemonade in order to sleep well and not go to the bathroom all night? Yeah, so I tend to kind of look at drinking these lemonades like I'll have my first one after my internal saltwater bath, like I would be having my breakfast, right? So that's my breakfast one. And then I have one 2 hours later, 2 hours later, that lunchtime, a couple hours later, and then like that dinner time one. And then, depending if you've made it six glasses or more by the time 6 o'clock hits, that could be your last one. And you can have herbal teas, right? We don't want caffeine or black teas, but herbal is fine. Chamomile tea would be a fantastic herbal tea to have. It's very calming to the nervous system, helps you sleep. Also, it helps clear out the liver and the gallbladder. It's an amazing herb. So, if you want a different flavor in your mouth, having maybe an herbal tea at night before you go to bed. But again, if you're worried about using the restroom, I'd say you're probably safe having that last glass around 6 or 7,
Mhm.
and giving
And
giving yourself.
the tea will also help with just having an activity, something to do, and actually just making the lemonade. You'll find you're spending a lot of your day just making this lemonade over and over and over, and it kind of gets kind of crazy. You're like, I have to make more. Okay, I'm making more, but it gives you something to do and to focus on. But you'll have enough of it by the evening. You're like, all right, enough of the lemonade. You're ready for a break.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that next morning you do the saltwater bath and then start again. And again, this is 3 days. Great favor that you're doing for your body. You're not starving yourself. You're not depriving yourself. I know it might feel that way, but you're not. This is a service, and it's just foreign because we don't normally give ourselves this time. We're not used to those feelings. We're told that those feelings are scary and bad, and so maybe your immediate feeling is that fluttering of, oh gosh, I'm really hungry, or oh, I need this. It's okay. And if you do have any of those, like, stomach kind of getting tight because it's hungry, like what Kara was saying, our organs are doing this because it's like taking a dirty sponge and wringing it out. It's a very important process. They're literally doing this to help release more toxins. So almost everything that you're experiencing, sometimes they're not very pleasant. It's actually a really good sign that things are working properly.
Mhm. So I did the smooth move tea at nighttime. It doesn't work as quickly. So I actually did it at night. One, it was a really nice, it's a sweet tea. It's really nice, tastes delicious. And it was a really nice practice, again, to like something to do at night besides eat and drink. Um, Drink adult beverages. And so it helped with that. And then it will take place, it will be effective in the morning to help you go. So I would say do the smooth move tea at night.
Yeah. Yeah. And then again, totally up to you. But remember that ability to be able to clear everything out comes a lot from this salt water, which is that benefit. So it's totally up to you, whichever way you want to go. The smooth blue tea will be more gentle, but you're not clearing out as much. So whatever you would like to do is great. If you have any more
Okay,
questions,
so remember, yeah, and remember we have the Facebook page, which most of you have gotten on there. If you friended me and you're trying to get on there and I haven't seen you yet, just let me know. If you're not on there, it's not a problem, but it's just another place where we can communicate, share experiences, ask questions, and we'll post things there as well. That the same posts will come out in your emails. It's just one more place to communicate.
yeah, and it's nice too just to stay in touch with everyone and see what other people are experiencing and things like that. Because we're doing this together and it's going to be really great. That's why we do this as a group so that we can all feel, even though we're not in the same physical spot, that we're all doing it together. We're all kind of accountable for doing this. And if you feel discouraged at any point in time, it's okay. If you do feel that you fell off the wagon and you grabbed some bite to eat, it's okay, let yourself forgive yourself and try to continue moving on with the cleanse, right? Don't say, oh, that's it. I took a bite of chocolate and I'm done, or whatever it was, right? It's okay. Just be gentle with yourself. This is different. It's new to you. The fact is, you got to whatever day that was, 2 days in. Try to finish it out to the third day. The third day is the best day. Day two is pretty hard. I will tell you that. Lots of things come up, right? And it's not extremely pleasant, but that's good because that's all that stuff that was stuck in there. You don't want it in there. You want it up. So it's day two is kind of hard. Day three is amazing. You hit that beautiful space and you go, oh, I can do this one more day. I'll add on a day four. Maybe I feel great day
Mhm.
four. I'll add on day five. That's how I do it. I just get to day three and then I see how I feel. I usually add on another couple days because I feel awesome on day three.
And that answers your question, Tracy. But there are stories of people doing this cleanse for like hundreds of days.
Yeah.
Like it's sustainable. Yeah, no, thank you. But your body can handle it. Your body can
Mhm.
handle it. I honestly was most excited to get off of it because my teeth got really sensitive. And I was very ready to eat some food. And actually, I was feeling my muscles felt a little bit, I don't know, just like just felt like I was shrinking a little bit, but like in a good way. But then I was just like, okay, I'm ready to like feel myself again. So, see how you feel about it.
Yeah, I usually feel awesome on day three. And again, I add another couple days, 4 or 5, because I'm like, hey, I already did three. What's another day? And then I feel great. What's another day? I feel great. And I'm like, great, I just did 5 days. That's awesome. And that's also why we like to start on a Monday and go through as long as you want because the weekends are hard. We understand that. So at
I
least,
did it on the weekend and it was hard. And luckily, my husband did it with me. So that was very helpful because I did have moments of weakness. It was, well, how about we just get through tonight and then we wake up tomorrow and have breakfast, and he talked me through like, no, we made it this far. Let's keep going, and then at one point and so I had to talk him through it. So I really invite you to tap into this group, especially if you don't have somebody at home doing it with you. And especially if they're eating, like that's hard. I don't know. Everyone's on their own. I don't think you should be cooking for anybody during this time. That's going to be difficult.
yeah, yeah, this is time to be selfish and we give you that permission. So this is about you and taking care of yourself and your health and you're doing everyone a service by doing that. So yeah.
Thank you, Carolyn. Yeah. So Carolyn did our Panchakarma cleanse, and said she finds the Facebook group to be really helpful for support. So yeah. So let's use that. Let's stay in touch there, and just see how. I mean, even if I have massive headache today. Anybody else? Yeah. It's just somebody to commiserate with a little bit and see how they're feeling.
Totally. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. And, we're right here with you guys doing this. And we'll be adding into the Facebook group every morning. You'll wake up to a brand new email that has everything you want to hear in that email, like we feel ya. This is probably what you're experiencing. These are tips and tricks to help with maybe what you're feeling. So every morning at 6 a.m., you'll get a brand new email to help you out. And again, tap into that Facebook page and good luck. You guys are going to do so great. And you are going to be so thankful you did on day 3. You are going to be so thankful you did. So good job.
You got this.
Yeah. All right, you guys. We'll stay in there, stay in touch, and we'll chat with you guys soon.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Bye. Thanks.